Okay, so I have several windows open here. First, just our learning objectives and the rubric that we're going to use. Did everyone get a chance to see this? Everyone was emailed it, and I believe we also put it on the guide, or if we haven't, I'll do that after we finish. On the guide where you had your workshop prep, the articles and the video that you watched before coming to the session. And there is, well, Lysandra kind of explained this, but an interpretation of the scale of the rubric there, so excellent. You're good to go with these skills. You don't need any additional training on them. That's not to say that there's not other things that can be learned, but that will come at a different time. Intermediate, you might need some additional training, and like she said, we'll try and work with you when we have our consultations, probably next week for most people, where we go over the skills that you learned just to make sure everyone's on the same page. So if you come up intermediate or needs work in any of those, we'll try to work with you right then to make sure that you're, getting up to speed. If it is a case where you do need to have a little bit more practice maybe, then we'll schedule some time to do that as well. So does anybody have any questions about this? Nope? Okay. All right. Well, actually, I should have left that open. I might need it. Okay, so we are going to do some things and have some kind of pair activities that Lauren and I talked up last night, actually, because we decided, hey, this will be a group. We can have some activities. But they're designed to get you to use the skills that you picked up, or, maybe you already have the skills, or that you learned in the workshop prep readings or video. So they're going to be, obviously, the learning objectives, demonstrating and explaining how to find and gain access to a resource. We're going to identify and use the limiters that we find in OneSearch, recognize and differentiate the source types that are available in OneSearch, and then be able to locate full text for an article in a periodical. So I'm going to go into OneSearch and briefly just kind of go through some stuff, make sure everyone's on the same page before we get into our activities. All right, so OneSearch. What should we search? It can be any old thing. It doesn't matter at all. We just need to get in there. And truthfully, you don't have to search anything. You can just click the button and go in and have an empty search. We can do the same thing. Last night we did pizza. All right, so I'll just do pizza since we did that last night. It might integrate better with our previous video. So this is a silly search. However, someone might want it someday. I don't know. Okay, so I just want to point out a few things, which you probably saw from the prep, but just to make sure, since we are aware that the OneSearch guide has some images that are not the same as the way OneSearch currently looks. So we're going to, fix those sometime soon, but just because it looks a little different, it didn't change the way it works. So we thought that it was going to be okay for everyone to still use it. And let me make sure that will go away. All right, so this is a really basic search, and that part doesn't matter so much. But most of the time, you are going to get a ton of results if you do a basic search. So what you want to do is use your limiters, right? And the limiters can be found over here on the left. So one easy way to do it is by source type. So if somebody comes to you and asks to find a particular type of thing, like maybe they want an article, maybe they need something from a newspaper, or maybe they want a book, you can use the source types. If you just hit show more right below, it will pop up this thing. So this is going to be the source types that are available based on our search terms. And the biggest, or the ones that contain the most items, will be at the top. So obviously magazines is the biggest one. Trade publications, academic journals, these are all other examples of periodicals, right? So periodicals, well, the word is kind of one of those terrible definitions that is the word. So something is a periodical if it comes out periodically, meaning from time to time, right? So, and there are a few different types. Magazines tend to be stuff that is written for the general public, could be on specific topics like cat fancy or quilting, but it's meant for regular people who are not going to be like researchers in that field. There probably are some cat research, journals, but they're not cat fancy. Trade publications are kind of similar. However, they do have a bit more of a focused audience. They're going to be people working in a certain field, like transportation, for example. I've been doing a lot of those lately. There's a journal called like Freight or Trucking for people who have businesses or work in those industries, right? Then there are academic journals. Those are going to be your scholarly things. I won't say most. Sometimes academic journals are peer-reviewed journals. Not all of them. Then they might just be called scholarly journals. It's important to note the distinction and to be aware of it because, as you're well aware, sometimes people come up and ask for how to find a peer-reviewed article, right? So clicking academic journal will get you a lot of the way there. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. But we also have another limiter that's just above the source types in peer-reviewed. So if we go ahead and select that one, you'll notice that our numbers will change a little. So we had 58,000 academic journal articles, and by clicking peer-reviewed, we lost 1,000. Another thing you can do is adjust your publication date. So whatever numbers are here are also dependent on any other limiters you've put in. So apparently there is something that was published in 1897, at least one thing, and something that it goes up to 2015. So we haven't hit 2015, but you'll see that sometimes certain journals they post-date their issues, I guess you would say. It happens a lot of time in science or health. I've seen that a lot. It doesn't make that big of a difference. It's still current, right? That's the most important part of it. It's current. So in case you aren't aware, you can type in the box or you can just move the slider around. And then change. So I happen to click on the box or just click somewhere and it chose 1953 to be that time. So that you can see it made an adjustment even though it was small by moving it up there. So any of these limiters that you've put on, you can take off. Easiest way to do it is just click the X next to it under just moving up the page. It has your expanders and limiters that are currently on. So peer-reviewed, publication date, and it shows the date. Available in library collection and academic journals. So 3 of those we put on there, but the available in library collection was already there. You can take it off, but that is the limiter that we have default on so that people will find, in general, only things that they've got access to. Full text access, whether it's an electronic thing, a video streaming, an ebook, or a print book, or some other thing that lives physically here in the library. So if you want to take that off, it's going to add in some more stuff that we've got records for, but we don't necessarily have full text access to. So a lot of people don't need to do that, but it is good to know that you can do it. And I'll just click it real fast so we can see what it does. So it added, we went from 57,000 to 63,000. So there are apparently, whatever that is, I can't do that quick in my head. What is that, like 6, 7, I don't know, something, 1,000 more things that we know about. Some of our databases know about them, but we just don't have access to them. Okay, everybody cool? Questions? Question. How do you turn it back on? That is the only limiter that you can't get to from right here, but you can get to it by going into the advanced search. So just click that, open it, and then it's a checkbox. Sometimes it moves around on the page. There it is. And it clicked itself back on right here. I didn't actually click it. When I hit advanced search, it appears to be clicked. That's probably why I didn't see it too. I was looking for an empty box, and it was not empty.
I got a quick question.
Question. You typed in a date and it won't change?
I typed in 2000.
Really?
Oh,
I've
okay.
never
Yeah,
experienced...
she just told me what to do.
I think, yeah, it's trying to search 1953 within 2001.
Yeah.
So you have to
Oh, I see.
2001 for your, yeah.
I see. I had not had that.
Clear the limiter off.
And then you can know
So the answer to that problem was to clear the limiter. Just hit the X and then do it again, or do the new date that you want. But either I never noticed that, or like maybe I never tried to add a different date, or it just happened that I wasn't going back
Yeah.
from being more
You
current.
can't put the slide back. So if you do 2001, because it originally said back.
That's true. Yeah, so you're right. Right here it says 1953, so I can't slide farther back than that. But yes, taking off that publication date limiter puts it back to the original set, and then we can go again. Okay, so let's see. I'm gonna actually take off the academic journal limiter because I want to see those other source types so we can look at them. So now I'm back to all source types. So you can, I'm sure you have noticed that pretty much everything has some little image icon next to it. And most of the time those are right, but sometimes you'll see, let's see, I'm going to take the peer-reviewed off. So sometimes you see ones like these that say report, or you might see ones that say just plain old periodical. Well, what kind of periodical? I don't know. The way you can figure out, or at least get some more idea, is just click the title. I mean, you can see it in the result there, but when you click the title, you get a little bit more information. So you can see source Bloomberg Business Week. And if you really want to know what kind of periodical this is, you do have the link for Ulrich's Web there, and that'll tell you if it's a trade magazine or a consumer magazine or an academic journal, and whether or not it's peer-reviewed. See if there's anything else we want to look at right here. Oh, I do want to reiterate, book and ebook are given kind of the same weight, although if I open the source types, you'll see they are two separate, but the book's number is always going to be bigger than the ebook's number because the ebook's number is included in the book's number. So there's not a way to limit to print books, but we can use a different limiter to help that out a little bit. The catalog only limiter. This is everything that's in the Mango catalog, the old catalog, the thing we used to use before we had OneSearch. So it includes the things that are physically here in the building, so print books. It also includes some ebooks because we did load some ebooks into Mango before. And curiously enough, you may also see some that are given the icon for ebook, but they aren't actually a book. They, because we load the Films on Demand titles into Mango as well, and those are streaming video. So that's another good reason not just to go by the little icon that's there. Take a look at the result itself to get more information. Okay. Based on the prep and some of this stuff that we've just gone over, I think we can go ahead and do our activities. So I have everybody find a pair, you know, one other person that you can work with, because I have enough that we can do it. We can do pairs in the group. I will hand these out in just a sec. Before we do that, I'm going to do one together so we can all see the points. So everybody's going to get a different thing. Some of them are really similar, some of them are different. But I'm going to use this one since we don't need all of them as an illustration of, these are situations that happen at the desks that you've probably experienced. That's fine. You don't have to get to your partner just yet since I haven't handed things out, but so we're going to do these, we're going to do this first one together. So I need to find this article. I know it's an article because the person told me it's an article. However, that could be another trick too. Sometimes patrons don't know what kind of citation they have, and so they might be asking you to help find an article, and it turns out it's not an article, it's a book or a book chapter. So that's other good reasons to take a look at the citation if you've got it, or if you're doing searching in OneSearch and you haven't gotten it, maybe just think about, oh wait, is this an article, is it a book, that kind of stuff. So what would you do? You have a citation. What would you do to find this? Who would explain? Who can explain the process? There's multiple ways you can do it, but what's a way? Type what? What part of it? The article title or the authors? The first line's actually the authors.
I would type the whole first line.
You would type the authors and the year? Why would you type the authors and the year?
That would tell me what they've written or what.
Yes. However, we have the title. We have a specific thing that we want from these people. So if we can be more specific, that will save us some steps. So probably what you want to do is search the title. And you don't have to search the entire title. You can just take a part of it. So I have the, oh crap, I can't do it on here because I have the presentation on. If you have, say it's in a chat, for example, and somebody's pasted it in, you have the luxury of just copying that, pasting it, right? So I would do that. I'm just going to do, can Google data help predict French youth? Let's try that. New search. Besides taking the entire title, you could also pick some keywords out of there and do that. That's why I say there's multiple ways to do it, but usually if you've got a full citation, you have the title, so that's going to be the easiest way to find it. So here's our article, and here is our full text link. So remember, since we have that limiter, that automatic default limiter in library collection, most of the things we find should be linked through link source or have the full text there. If you come across, if you haven't taken the limiter off and you come across items that say not available, check further options, let somebody know. I don't know, some librarian someplace, and we can try and figure out what's going on. If we have to get to Alice or we have to get to, you know, EBSCO. So there we go, full text linked to our article. So another thing you might do, especially if you already looked at the title and you didn't see it, was try putting the words in quotation marks. Or you can also adjust this thing right here where it says keyword and hit title. And that might help too, to make it at least rise to the top. Question? It's a phrase search, and it forces the system to find the words together, not all spread around. And you can actually do that in Google too. Okay, so besides that, if you've tried those title things, other stuff you might do, like Jorge pointed out, you could try the author's names, and then maybe some of the keywords, but that's still working off the title of the article. Another thing you can do, or two other things, you could try to take that limiter off to see if maybe we just don't have electronic access to it. Then you could use that to check. It's not going to work with this one, but you can use that to check and see if we have electronic access, and then if we don't, then you can go forward. I'm going to take it off. Oh wait, that's not the one I want. Is it doing it? Yeah, it did. I'm going to try and take this off and see if I can find anything, just as an example. No, it's not going to do. I want one with not available, check for other options. Here we go. So you get this screen. And this is an easy way to check and see if we've got it in print. But you can also use the A to Z list to make sure of whether or not we've got it electronically. This is one way to get to it. Let me get back over here. At the top in OneSearch, there's a link to the A to Z list. And then also on the library homepage, this is probably the one where you're more aware of that it's there. There we go. Databases by subject. Sorry, that's not what I was going to. Search A to Z publications. That's what I was talking about. So all of those get to the same place. And then you can get there and search the title of the publication, not the article title. Economic modeling was it, yes. So we could search that here. Let's see if it finds it anyway. It's probably there, but I'll add the other L. So you can do the phrase search thing in here too, or you can also click journals only. The A to Z list does contain some listings for books, although it's mostly going to be journals or periodical titles. But by doing that journals only, it did reduce it a lot. So I only have these two. So here's our Access Point Science Direct database, and we have 1995 to present. This article is from 2012, so we're good. We can go there. If for some reason we didn't find it in OneSearch, then we could find it there. Okay, questions? No? Okay, so I will hand you that. Some of them are books, a lot of them are articles, some of them are just situations. Okay, so what group wants to go first? The person who learned how to find the thing can explain, or you can come up and demonstrate how to find your thing. So if you explain it, I will do what you tell me to do. But if you want to come up and do it yourself, that's fine too. Okay. If somebody doesn't volunteer, I'm gonna name somebody. Okay. So what was before I start, what was the thing that you had? That one. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. We're trying to find a book on ancient Mesopotamian art.
I know.
Okay, so I'm on the library homepage. What should I do? Okay, why did you put it in quotation marks? Is that necessary, though? Yeah. The other thing with that, though, is Mesopotamia is a specific term, but Near East, like these ones here, include Mesopotamia. The Near East is what people used to call Middle East. And if you look at the subject terms, you can see that. This is a little bit beyond. I'm just explaining that you don't necessarily need, especially if you just have a topic, you don't necessarily need to just start out with anyway, a phrase search with the quotation marks. So it's not a bad idea. It's just that you've already limited, unless something somewhere like subject term or maybe something in the table of contents comes up with the term Mesopotamian or knows that Mesopotamian and Near East are equivalent. But anything else we should do? Source type limit to book. So yeah, this is pretty much exactly what you would do. And when I was back there, I was saying, if someone came up and said that they wanted a physical book to check out, then what would you do? Yeah, if somebody wants a print thing to hold in their hand that they want to check out. Anything you want to do? Catalog only? Yeah, you don't have to do that. You can just scroll. But this is another issue with did this happen to you guys? Yeah, so take the quotation marks away. And that fixes it. If you just do a regular plain old search, just the words without the quotation marks, then you'll find some books. So if I take those away, I think it's just going to redo the search, but let's see. Ancient Mesopotamian art. Okay, it still has catalog only on. and it still has, it has all results, but it looks like catalog only took it over. So we are finding some video recordings. So here's like what I said, some of this streaming media is put into the Mango catalog, so it comes up when you have catalog only, and a couple of these did. And so here is a book, this is a physical book, The Art and Architecture of Mesopotamia. That gets us there. Plenty to choose from. What that catalog only did, remember, is it took out most of the ebooks, but there might still be one or two, especially if they're older, because that's what's in the catalog is primarily the older ebooks. Okay, so good job, you guys. Points. So who wants to go next? You guys, Jorge, which one did I give you? Okay, The Book for Whom the Bell Tolls. Okay, so what should we do to find this book?
So like the OneSearch,
Yeah, this is OneSearch. It's just already in there.
type in what room the bell tolls,
The title.
then I hit catalog only.
Okay, so why would you not hit books before catalog only?
Catalog only, then it's
That's you. That isn't necessarily what the patron wants, right? So we have to remember that books and ebooks are both books. So we should check books first to see how we might have this, whether it's going to be print or maybe we have an ebook. I don't think we have this in an ebook, but you should still check because a lot of people don't care whether they've got it in print or online. They just want it. So that's why we should check to see where we've got it or how we have it first. So I've done that, books. And this one here, I can't tell just by looking at this, but I think that it's a literary criticism. It's not the whole book itself. Part of the reason that I think that is because when I click the title and I see it has series Twain's Masterwork Studies, so that kind of leads me to believe, I mean this is just me from my experience, that leads me to believe this is like literary criticism, like not Cliff's Notes, but it talks about the themes and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, that too. Some of the others, like we did Pride and Prejudice yesterday, and we found several that listed the author as Jane Austen, but then once you got in there, it didn't appear that the entire book was actually there. Okay, so at this point, if you keep scrolling down, you see that we do have the book by Ernest Hemingway.
you go,
But then the other thing you could do at this point is you might try checking catalog only. Or you could try putting it in quotation marks. However, you can see that most of these titles have For Whom the Bell Tolls as part of their title. So it wouldn't really help you that much in this situation. It does help in others. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add? But, okay, so that works. Obviously, it did work. But I just wanted to make sure that everyone remembers that you shouldn't only assume that the person wants a physical book. And especially on chat, a lot of people who are on chat might be distance students. So they may not want a physical book. They may just want to have access. So sometimes when it's a fiction, when it's a novel, as I mentioned, we don't have that many ebook novels, but it's just a good thing to get into the habit of, to make sure that you are aware of everything that we've got, that you aren't automatically limiting yourself. Because it's more critical with other things. For this particular book, since we don't have it in ebook, it didn't matter that much. But for others, it is more critical just to see what we've got fully, not just limiting to the Mango catalog, which is a tiny fraction of what we have access to overall. All right, another group want to go?
So we started at the homepage, and we just typed in French degree organ.
Degree, E-E-C-R.
I knew that.
And this is a New York Times article. It is from 1939. It's going to be archived. So we put database located at the top.
Database locator? Why not A to Z publications?
Well, that's what I started.
But if you scroll down on this page, and you've got New York Times archive.
I'm going to click newspapers because I want to scroll.
Wait a minute, if I had gone into agency, it would have had the archives.
New York Times article archive. We'll see.
It's pretty dramatic. But then if you click this, that's the second part where it says search the article archive 1851 to 1980. And then where it says specific dates on the left.
Author, date, there it is. Okay.
You put in 05, 01, 1939. And then we put 05.
Not $13.99. I did it again. There.
And then 05, 31. 1939. And then you hit refine search, and at the top, you put in the top heading of rest of the area. And there you go, that's it.
All right. Is this the full text?
No.
No. Okay. So, what was the reason that you didn't do A to Z publication?
When you did that, it only showed up in 1989. Wow.
So what does that tell you? We don't have it electronically. That's the key. We don't have it electronically.
That's what I,
Well, this isn't wrong. This is just things that you got to think about.
I was confused about which one of those I could use.
So that's why the date is key. And the index you can search online. You just don't get access to the New York Times. And this is the same for a lot of newspapers. So what you got to do is check and see if we have physical access to it. Yes. The answer is yes. But how you would do that is by going to the Mango catalog. So this is a reason why sometimes you need to go to the Mango catalog. It's totally fine to do it. It just, it is. You did some exercising in OneSearch. So what you have to do, I mean, you did find that it exists, right? So you know it exists by what you did. So you know that the person who came up to you with this and said they have this. I've had people come up to me and tell me that things exist and they don't, and I had to research it to figure that out. So you know that this article exists. But then what you need to do is figure out how we get access to May 1939 New York Times. And the easiest thing to do is just use the Mango catalog, which you can find on the library homepage, Research Tools, UNF Library Catalog. And then we can do New York Times. And you can just leave it anywhere, but you can also change to journal title or something if you want. It isn't as critical here. New York Times is within the first few. It's the top one here. So then you have to click the title or check availability to see what we've got. And that is under holdings. And we have in microfilm 1851 September to 2010 December in microfilm. So that's how you get the full text. You have to get the microfilm of that.
Why was this in the archive but not in the New York Times?
So the New York Times archive is searchable, but to get access, you went to the New York Times website is what you did by going to the archive. But to get access to the article there, they want some money. So doing what you did isn't bad, especially if you don't have the full citation and don't know for sure that that article exists. But that was kind of the tricky one. So anybody else want, check the year. A lot of things before the 90s. Some things older, just depends. A lot of things before the 90s are not electronic yet. Maybe they will be someday. Maybe they won't be. So along those same lines, Julia and Martha, what did you find with yours?
We didn't find it because we searched one searches that come up.
So, the answer is we don't have it. Yeah. You guys, you did all you needed to do to check it. Yeah, it is kind of a trick. So, it's not a real trick though, because this does happen. So okay, so what they did was they searched the title in OneSearch, and then it didn't come up. So then they went to the A to Z list, and if you do that, Lancet is what, if I spell it right. So yes, remember, their thing is from 1977. The Lancet, even if you don't know if it's supposed to be the regular, this is a British journal, by the way, it doesn't matter that much. Even if you don't know if it's supposed to be this one or the American one, the earliest we've got in electronic format is 1991. Okay, so then at this point, we have to go and check it, see if we have it in print. So, is it over here? No. Let me get back over here real fast. Mango catalog, Lancet. And then this one, it probably is fine, but we know this is a journal, so I'm just going to change it to journal title. It's there. Okay. So then we can check our holdings. Our holdings are 85 to January 2013 in microfiche, and then more, 78 to 84 in microfilm. Well, that still didn't get us there. So then, yes, that is what has to happen. If you really want to get the full text of this article, you have to interlibrary loan it. So that is the ultimate answer. So, all right, so we've come to the end. Does anybody have any questions, or does anyone want to tell us their process? I think most of the rest of the items were pretty simple, straightforward ones. Either I gave you a citation or you had to find a specific thing. Question? No? Everybody good? If you do have questions, don't hesitate to ask them. Thanks for coming.